Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Greenlit and Grounded. In today's episode, we got the chance to sit down with Humberly González.
We got to talk to her about her approach for blockbuster franchises such as Star Wars, Star Trek, even Avatar, as well as her approach to more original works.
We also talked to Humberly about what it means for her to authentically bring herself into her work.
If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave a comment, like the video, and if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, consider leaving us a 5-star review. It really helps. Enjoy the video.
Done. He got it right.
God damn it. Humberly González. Welcome to Greenlit and Grounded. Don't make fun of me, guys.
It's my name. That's true.
It is her name.
Every single
He
episode.
was just trying to show me how he starts every podcast.
Yeah, that is how it's become a thing. It was unintended, but we have to build a brand at some point. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know how busy you are. I know what a whirlwind stuff going on in your career. So thank you for coming down and hanging out with us for a bit.
This is nice. I get to sit for a while.
What, do you
and
normally
just
stand
chat.
during your interviews? Man, everyone's got to upgrade. They got to get these couches going.
Maybe we should start standing.
We should start standing,
We want to be
yeah.
as
Like
comfortable as
exercising
possible.
during the podcast.
The walking.
We're
Calf
already
races.
learning so much. This is great. This is great.
Yeah.
I want to jump in, and one of the things that I just watched you in most recently was Waterfront, which
Amazing.
congratulations on that, by
Thank
the way.
you. Yeah.
It's shot so beautifully. It's shot so beautifully. It was one of those shows that, frankly, I thought maybe I'll watch like a couple episodes, and then I got sucked in.
Yeah, because the cliffhangers, man.
It really is the
You
cliffhangers.
can't not find out what happened.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's good.
And I know that in like other times when you've talked about the project, you've mentioned how you learned a lot on set and it really felt like an actor's playground. And I'm curious if you are able to elaborate on that in terms of what were those growing moments on set? What did you learn specifically from who? And what made it feel like a playground as an actor?
I mean, it's always such a gift when you have a collaborative team.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always the case, but a lot of the time, the director, if they can work well with actors, they give you like a take for you and then a take for production and then just for fun. You know, at the end, they
Yeah.
always go, okay, guys, let's do one more just for fun.
Yes.
And I obviously, like a cliche, always make the joke, like, we get to have fun here. But I really do take advantage of that. I take advantage when I'm being given the freedom to play. And what does that mean for me
Yeah.
is if it's not something that's obviously in the script, but it's something that I've either explored on my own or I draw back to theater school. You know, back in the day, I remember in classes or training where they're like, okay, now do it. Like, you really have to pee. Or like, do it, but like, you have 2
Wait, I'm
minutes
sorry,
to
what?
leave. You know, like, they just give you a bit of
They
like
use,
an
like,
incentive
weird-
and
yeah.
the stakes are really high.
Yeah, fair
and,
enough.
And you give yourself a note that just raises the stakes. It makes it less casual and, you know, like you have a secret or like, do it, but like at every given moment, you want to tell your co-star that you love them, but you can't. So it really does. It just kind of changes the energy
Yes.
and the playfulness of that. It actually does spark your imagination. It allows me as an actor to kind of go deeper into what I'm able to do. And then I'm also testing it to see if I'm comfortable with that. Because one thing is doing it in class and in training, but when you're surrounded by crew and lighting and the director and the producer and maybe someone came to visit. And so you have all this pressure to really not put yourself at the center of it. Your ego gets a little bit like, ooh, I'm being seen.
Yeah.
And I think one of the traps in our work is that we think too much about what other people are going to think of it rather than being us. Like, what do I think of it? How do I actually feel about it? And then making it all about my scene partner. Or if it's about me, it's a private moment.
Yeah.
That really allowed me to trust being on set.
Cool.
Which allowed me to be on a seasoned set like The Waterfront. It was my first US project and I was surrounded by people who've been doing this forever. When you just think about it, you could psych yourself out. Do I belong here? Do you get a bit of imposter syndrome? Am I ready? Are they gonna think I'm green? Am I, I was the only Canadian and they
Represent.
kind of took, they
Yep.
took a chance on me and I'm surrounded by Americans and as Canadians, we're often, compared to our counterparts on the other side of the border, but that wasn't the case. I really did feel comfortable. And I think it's because leading up to this in my 10-year-long career, I've allowed myself to really be vulnerable and be seen no matter who it is and who comes to set, because that doesn't matter. You should be able to walk on set and feel ready to show up with everything you have because you are worthy of that.
And I love that you're coming from that theater school mentality, because we hear things like being present and raising the stakes.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd love for you to unpack from your perspective is when you talk about, oh, like you really got to pee or you got a secret. Is it about academically raising the stakes that if I do X or if I don't do X, I won't get Y? Or is raising the stakes more a physical sensation that you then feel as a result? How do you discern or unpack the notion of raising the stakes when you're working on it?
That's very good, because I do think it's going to be individual. But something I've learned now is that sometimes when you're really connected, it doesn't feel like anything. It just feels like another day in your life. And I remember very early on, I had a mentor who told me to stop acting. Don't act. Don't try to make yourself cry. Don't try to make yourself afraid or be fearful or anxious, because that's already not real, and you're actually taking away from how you actually are right now. But what you can feed yourself is thoughts. And if you are fully embracing those thoughts, that's going to render change no matter what. I'm sorry, but if I tell myself, imagine if you get a call and it's your parent and she tells you that your sibling has been hurt. Just the thought of that already, I'm like, oh, I feel it. My eyes start to water, my heart races, it lives somewhere in my body. And so I think as artists, our job is to be really aware of our compass.
Yes,
That's our body.
because it's not just
not
about having the
intellectual.
thought. You can have the thought, but
Yeah.
then you have to take the time to let it sink in.
So raising the stakes for me is, the reason we train is to learn how to use ourselves. We have to learn how to use what we already have. That is exactly what's going to make us successful as artists, which is we are the vessel, we're the vehicle. But if there's a disconnect between mind, body, spirit, the audience is going to see that.
Totally.
If you're a cerebral actor and
Oh,
you
man.
are making choices that you write, like I'm going to punch him with this line and I'm going to flick him over here and I'm going to flirt on this. I'm like, that is, you can use it to a certain extent to almost like start the process. But if that's the entire process and it ends there, you're not really being affected by your person, and you're not being affected because you're not letting real things come up. That person might do something that completely takes away your flick or your punch or your flirt. Like, I'm sorry, but now you're probably like,
You mean in real
I'm
time
gonna
when you're
melt.
acting
In
with
real
someone?
time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a gift to really be present. It's scary.
Yes.
To be
Yes,
like,
it is.
I'm not going to plan anything. I'm just going to go with it. I know the words. That's it. But even the words itself aren't what's important. It's relationship.
Yeah.
It's behavior. And it's that vulnerability that allows you to access your emotions. And that's why I work from instinct. But to work from instinct, you have to get so real with yourself about what you're feeling, and not just at work, but in your real life. And
Man, this is great.
why-
We have so many questions to ask, but I feel I could just talk for hours with you
Right?
about
I
this
mean,
stuff.
it's like
This is
therapy,
great.
honestly. For me, acting has become such a mirror to my own life.
Yeah.
And it has challenged me in ways that I didn't know it was possible. And so I'm always looking to be challenged. And it's great when you meet another actor who is in that same place.
Yeah.
And then you get to just play together, because there's a respect and a safe space, but then you're like, oh, I'm gonna fuck you up with this. Or like, you don't even know what's coming. And it's cool to just kind of have each take be something different.
So on that note, you said it's fun when you're with an actor that is on the same level. They're open. They're willing to play. That's the goal. That's the dream.
The dream. Yeah.
Could we talk about what happens when the other actor is kind of the opposite?
Yeah.
They're a little closed off, and you're just like,
Yeah.
It's not
Or
even
they're
like
in their
give
When
me
they're
head.
just trying to hit you, they're just trying to
or they're
flirt.
just trying to get
Yeah.
there, or they're just trying to
Or they're just
flirt
trying to be
on this
good.
line,
Yeah.
or they're just
Yeah, and it's, and I can tell but you know what? I can't change what someone else does, but I can stay open and receptive and try to get them to see what I'm also trying to bring to the table. I think it's really hard to stay completely stoic and unmovable in the presence of someone who's being so open and generous with you. Of course, there's exceptions to that rule. There's people who can only work if they do it exactly as they practiced. And sometimes they're so good at that.
And surely you're not thinking about anyone in particular when you say that.
Sometimes I am.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of people. Some actors and very good actors
Yeah.
have a system, because it could be something to do with the way that they work, or it just works for them, and
Right.
it looks really good, really grounded, really real. It can be frustrating to the counterpart where I'm like, oh, I did it a million different ways, and their response was the same every time.
Every single time, yeah.
And you're like, somehow it works. Somehow it works, and this works for us.
You may not have liked
for
it.
us, for you, but I don't work that way. And I think that's kind of beautiful when you get to act with different people and their approach. There are so many ways to approach the work. And what is the approach ultimately trying to lead to is like, are you telling the story right? Are you telling the truth about what you're trying to say? And if you're getting to the truth in the way that you do it and I do it, then that's all that matters. There's no judgment there. If we're talking about, early in my career with non-seasoned actors and people who it's their first time being a series regular or the first time being in a show, which happens often when they're casting fresh faces and maybe they've only done like a few things here and there and everybody's kind of on the same.
We're all figuring it out.
We're all figuring it out.
Yeah.
And it's kind of great because we do help each other by simply existing.
Totally.
And if they're open to it, we can, it's like, oh, let's run lines, let's practice it. And we can kind of like bring up suggestions and see what works. But the cool thing about acting is that every relationship is different and it'll never be the same. And still to this day, every time I jump on a set, I have no expectations. I just come in knowing my material, and then everything else is up to see what happens and how it affects me. But you have to be a chameleon in
100%.
this industry. You just have to be very like, I think of myself as like dough or like because I just want to be moldable.
And so do you feel sorry, Jared.
No, go ahead,
Do you feel that on Waterfront that it was a playground because you were with, and I'm talking specifically here about the actors, that the other actors were with you on that journey, or you feel that the crew held space for it? Is that where you felt that?
Let's talk about like the most significant relationship for me, and the person I guess acted with the most was Jake Weary, who played Kane. And that was right from the start. We had a Zoom chemistry read. And, sometimes it can feel so unnatural because you don't really feel the person. Like, I miss being in the room for a lot of reasons. Obviously, the technology has allowed us access in a different way that,
for sure,
there's pros and cons to it all. But I'm telling you, like, when there's chemistry and you meet someone who's, like, at that level of, like, I follow instinct and I'm natural, I'm grounded. Like Jake was one of those for me. That was the best chemistry read I've ever done in my entire career. And I felt it. It just felt like he was in the room and we were bantering a lot even before and after and in between we were doing the scenes. There was no like beginning, middle, and end. There's no like action and cut. It just felt like all of it was in the
right
same,
here, right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of Meisner a lot. I trained in Meisner a lot, and it was about that. Like, this is just the next moment in your life. You just happen to know the words, but you really don't know how it's going to end up. You really have to let that other person wash over you, and you hope that they can do the same and take you in. And I felt that in this, and I called my team after. I'm like, I don't know who else they're gonna give this part to. Like, I don't even know what to tell you. But like, if that's not it, then I don't know what I'm doing.
So when because you've had other chemistry reads and you've done a lot of auditions at this point, and so sure with this chemistry read you felt it palpably right away.
Yeah, and I think it was because of him and I together. It was just like, I guess that's the point of chemistry reads, right? It was just like, you and we were the only cast members to do that.
So when you are going into a chemistry read, are there certain things, because obviously if chemistry is something that you just feel, it's very rarely something you can force.
It's either there or it's not.
So what are you thinking as you're either waiting to go into the room or the Zoom room to do a live, I guess, producer or director chem read? What's going through your head as you're preparing for that?
The lines are one thing. The lines are there, they're fresh. If they change, if I stumble, that's not an issue for me because I think if we put too much emphasis on the words, you're already far away from the point, which is, what am I feeling? What's my relationship? What am I trying to get out of this? And when I'm meeting someone for the first time and I don't know how they work, the only thing I rely on is my curiosity for them.
Beautiful.
And that is how I enter any set or any audition. I'm curious about the person because curiosity means that I'm observant, I'm being affected by their point of view, their smile, how they get angry, their pauses, what are they thinking? So when you look at someone, this goes even in life, again, if you're curious about someone, there's not a right or wrong. There's just understanding. And I can take that and then contrast it with my point of view and my understanding.
Yeah.
And then that's how you have a relationship.
Totally.
You know, because if you're trying to get it right, you're already so far away.
Right.
You're trying to prove something. In this way, it's just, you just have information and you rely on your point of view because that's the character's trauma, it's their experience, it's their emotions. So my point of view will kind of infiltrate the way that, you know, it's like, oh, they kind of paused on that. And that made me feel maybe unworthy for a second and shy. So the way that I say this line is going to change, even though I had thought maybe she was a bit more confident and a bit more flirty, but ooh, that hit a sore spot, you know? And so if I wasn't aware of that, I'm not letting the work like live.
So you're having
human.
ideas, but
Yeah.
then you're still remaining open to being
Yes.
changed by the wind of what someone is giving
Exactly.
you. Wow.
in
Love
the
that.
moment of conversation, which I feel like could be the same, you know, even with the podcast. Like, you know, you come in, you're like, oh, we're going to talk about, I don't know, whatever we talk about. And then we ask
The
questions.
conversation's going to go however
Yeah,
it
you're
goes.
just like, oh, I didn't
Exactly.
think. It's the same with us. Like, we
Like-
have all these questions prepped, and then you say something. I'm like, no, forget the question. I want to talk about this. Like, you know what I mean?
You always have
I'm
to.
curious.
You gotta Ross Geller
If
the
you're
shit out of
curious
this.
and you actually care
Yeah.
about your scene partner, you care
Yeah.
about the material, you care about what you're doing, you're not just trying to look good and be good. You are actually trying to tell the truth and get somewhere and have it be like alive and sparkly. And that's what makes it fun. That's where the playfulness comes from.
Love that.
If we're going full circle. What is the point of playing? You are following excitement. You're following something that makes you feel alive.
Yeah.
That makes you smile or like render some kind of emotion that changes the state you were once in. It's not boredom. It's the opposite, right?
Yeah.
There's movement. It's not stagnant. So if I feel all of those things, it can be so minimal and it'll feel like nothing because sometimes acting feels like nothing.
Yeah.
But there's such a big world inside. And you just have to let the camera catch that.
I
Right,
got
I'm gonna say you gotta-
to tell you, I'm
You
really.
had a moment there.
Do you see my breath just
I
get taken away?
literally saw. That's why I was like, you
I'm being
okay?
affected right now.
I'm so happy that you just said what you said about sometimes acting feels like nothing, because I think, you know, whether it's in my own craft, and all of us are just trying to make it. All of us are
Yeah.
writing our own stuff, making our own stuff. I'm also an acting teacher and a coach, and everyone is trying to do something all the time. They're trying to make something of it, and they get really insecure when it doesn't feel like something, or when they go, I didn't feel it. And I go, yeah, but we were affected
Yeah.
by it. So I love that what you just said sort of, it helps alleviate some of the pressure to have to
Exactly.
be something specific that you've preordained rather
Yes.
than being affected right here, right
And
now.
I want to clarify
Please.
that the reason I use the word nothing is because we're already alive.
Yeah.
So I don't have to be in any other state than my humanness,
Right.
Yeah.
which feels like nothing. If we're just sitting here and having thoughts, that's it.
There's no like visceral reaction.
There's
where you're
no
just like,
like,
I
I'm
had this
not-
thought.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, I'm breathing, I'm thinking, I'm alive. Look at this chair. Like so,
Yeah.
when you meditate, that's different, right?
Right,
You're being
right,
so conscious of how you're breathing in and out.
Yeah.
But when you're not thinking of breathing, it just involuntarily happens.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
this thing that happens or doesn't happen. I think that's the same with acting. The sweet spot for everything, and when I felt my breakthrough of it, is that I wasn't putting on things. I was actually revealing, and there was no pressure.
Yeah.
I can just walk on set and trust that I'm like, look, I have the words, I know what's the relationship is, throw it all away and just show up. Just show
Yeah.
up. You walk into a room, a person says something to you, and you're like, what? Why?
Totally.
And it just happens because
Yeah.
I'm a human. And
But
I'm
that,
just,
but that's
have to use me.
because you've spent time, whether it's in your
Yeah.
prep or just because you mentioned
Yes, yeah.
meditation. I'm assuming that means you meditate.
Yes.
Okay.
I
So
think
you've-
it's just intentionality.
Yeah.
Really, like I don't use the word memorizing.
Good.
I call it learning.
Good. Oh my God. I want to get rid of the word
Yeah.
memorization from the actor lexicon.
Because this is how I put it. When someone tells you a secret and they're like, hey, come here, I got to tell you something when you can't tell anybody, you might just hear it once or read it once on a text. There is no way you're just going to forget that.
Yeah.
Because you are really
Right.
taking it in. You're listening. You're curious.
Not trying to remember
You're
it.
not trying to remember
Yeah.
and memorize it. Because you are trying to make it mean something. When you learn something and truly to learn something, it becomes a part of you. it's nearly
Yes.
impossible to forget it.
Becomes a
Why do
part
I
of you.
still remember all the lyrics to Eminem and it's been like 15 years?
Because it's a part of
Which
us.
song?
It's a part of
Well,
me.
which song? I need to
It
know.
was visceral.
Which
I
song?
don't know why.
Which song?
Like,
Which song?
like Mockingbird.
Okay, go.
Really?
Jared.
Listen, when I learned English, I used to print out music lyrics, and that's how I learned the songs. And then there was a point in my life where I like spoke a lot in song lyrics because I knew what that meant.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing.
That's incredible.
But yeah, it's learning it.
Yeah.
And that's what we should do as artists. We're just learning and taking in more, and then we use it.
100%.
Yeah.
I want to talk about when you get to set. You're on set, in between takes. What are you doing to stay loose, to stay in flow? Are there any specific practices like meditation? You prep going into work and you get your lines down, and
Yeah.
to your point, you think, oh, maybe on this line I'll try this, but you want to stay open. So how do you prepare yourself to be like, I'm prepared, I know my lines, I know my block, and I know this, I know that, but when the time comes, I'm just going to let go and let whatever happens, happens. How do you mentally allow yourself to get to that place?
Right, because now we have a new like level, right? It's like there's the before, there's the during, the after, the in between. There's so many, and it's all different.
Yeah.
Sure
all
is.
different. And oh man, it still challenges me, especially as I'm taking on bigger roles and roles that require me to stay maybe at a certain emotional state for 14 hours a day.
Yes.
Yep.
That's exhausting physically. even.
Very like, I just like the latest project I just worked on was probably one of the most challenging in this aspect.
Can we plug it?
Yes, it's called Match. We don't have a release date yet, but there is a trailer dropping maybe sometime soon.
Let's go.
Sweet.
I filmed it in Cape Town. So already there's this like foreign aspect
Yeah.
of it. I'm being like ripped away from what I know. New crew in a new place. I'm the lead of this movie, and it's a horror movie. And it's something that, if you know me at all, you know that I love
She
the
loves her
genre.
horror.
I
Loves
love my
horror.
horror movie.
We're going to get into genre shortly.
And I've
yeah.
always like loved this genre. But I also know the responsibility of being a lead in a horror, because you're usually final girl and you're either like screaming, sweaty, bloody, running, like
Yeah.
you're surviving.
Yeah.
And that requires a lot of effort.
Totally.
And I'm not going to lie to you. I had moments where I really struggled because something happens to the body when you reach a certain emotional state, like crying, let's say. It's very cathartic. The body doesn't know the difference. The body is right there with you. It's not fake for it. We might up here be like, this isn't really happening, but the
Right.
body is experiencing it as if it is, which is why, sometimes when people shoot certain things, like they get affected physically, they get ailments, random things that
Yep.
come up in their body, because our mind is very powerful. And I do believe that our mind and our soul and our system is so united. So we have to take care of ourselves on
Yeah.
set, offset, in between. And
Yep.
I had to go to some really dark places for this. And there were times where I could feel my body was so resistant. And so,
like
I
sending
got
you
scared.
signals of like,
Sending
no,
me
girl,
signals,
don't go there.
I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. We already did that.
We've
But I
worked
have
through
to
that.
Yes, it's almost like you are sometimes re-traumatizing yourself in
Yeah.
certain ways. So it's a very, you're walking a really thin line with learning yourself and how you work. And I had to learn a lot about myself when I go into a genre that I love, but at what cost?
Right.
So I remember this one day really specifically. I was already resistant from like the first shot.
Yeah.
And it was just a wide, and I know we're gonna have to go to this close up,
Yep.
and that's when I really have to come up. But the first time you do a scene like that, your body is so like you're awake. You're like, finally, I get to do this. I've prepped,
Yeah.
whatever, and then everything goes, and then it's almost like you reset.
Yeah.
Totally.
And so, how do you gently, with patience, with love, ask yourself to go back to a place that is uncomfortable? Oh man, I fought with my thoughts, and I did different things. Music helps a lot. Sometimes I would take a moment to listen to specific songs that I know hit.
Eminem?
To kind of go back.
I was literally just going to say.
Mockingbird?
I was just
Mockingbird.
took
you
it
guys?
right out of my mouth. Took it right out of my mouth, man.
Very good. No,
Yeah.
but for me, music is very visceral for me.
Yeah.
Like when I listen to music, I get goosebumps,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
gives me like chills, and it's very specific songs. And there's one specific song that I use all of the time.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of my mom. And I think it's just kind of like rooted in this place where it reminds me of home and things. And I can always be in a very like open, vulnerable state.
Sound like a musical theater gal.
But you know, it's like music
Yeah.
for me helps a lot. And then sometimes what I actually need to do is tell my mind that, okay, you don't want to go there, we won't go there. We're not going to go there again. It's almost like psych it out. So I decide to change my environment. I'll have a conversation with crew. I'll go get crafty. I'll talk about anything other than the work so my mind gets a break. So that I don't have
love
to
that.
actually stay in it, and I can I remove myself completely. If I'm in the darkness and I'm crying, I try to laugh, make a joke. I try to like move my body, go get sunshine if it's sunny outside.
Yeah.
I try that actually worked for me that day because sometimes I always thought that I had to stay in it and linger on it, even if it's just a little bit. Keep your foot on the gas, even though you're not pushing all the way. I often work with keeping my foot on the gas. This project taught me you can fully get out of the car. You can get out of the car because you know how to get back in.
You got to know when to pedal and when to coast.
And I need to know and trust that I will be able to get back in the car.
Right.
That is the risk. Because what if I completely get out and then I'm like,
removed.
I can't get back in. But
Yeah.
I disassociate.
But
you
that's
know?
where the prep, that's where the hours before, that's where
exactly.
you trust
You're like,
yourself.
You know that you can do this.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, that's really great. I know that I can do that, even if it's in a turnaround where you maybe have 10, 15 minutes, sometimes 20 if it was a big setup. Usually I use it then. If it's a quick, like, we're just going tighter, I can't really get out of the car yet. But I can, have a moment of like...
Take a breath,
like focus on something else, or stay in it. I'll go into a corner and just kind of be quiet. And if someone needs something from me, I'll just go from that place. But it's really interesting. You need to know yourself really well when to do that.
And that's what I was going to say, where you can learn to trust yourself. You can do the thing. I actually don't use the term throw it away, because why would I throw something away that I worked really hard on? But I can trust that it's just going to be there.
Yeah,
but that's
maybe we can come up with a new term. It's more about like loosen the grip.
Yeah, and because you've spent a lot of time working on that,
Yeah.
not just as an actor, as a human being.
Yeah.
And staying in that space is interesting, because a lot of people think that when actors are working on bigger projects and they're getting paid a lot of money, that it's for knowing the lines and for knowing the tech and all that stuff. It's actually for what you do, not when you're filming, when you are staying in that space, that level of self-awareness and that
It's
prep.
about sustainability, really.
Yes.
It's like, how do you maintain this character within you when you're working really long hours, you have breaks in between? Sometimes, like this one time, I was on set ready to go and it was 7 hours before I got there.
You actually,
So how do you relax, stay in your trailer and chill until they call you? But they could call you at any second. So a part of you is always still on and off.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to sustain your energy and get back, people really struggle in that in between. And, we're in the hurry up and wait game of an industry. So this was just different for me, because the way that it challenged me was like I was already in it. I was in the work and I want to do a good job and I know that I can do it. And so I had thoughts of like, oh, I'm disappointed, or like I would get angry at myself at times, be like, no, or it didn't come out the way I expected it to. And I was like, you started like reverting back to some old habits when I wasn't as experienced. And I would just kind of, I call myself out, and I always do it with love and grace. Like, girl, you got this, you know this. And I always tell myself this, like, even at your worst, you're still really great. Because it just lives within me.
That's
like
huge. That's
sometimes if I'm putting too much effort on something and I'm finding myself being disappointed, I'm doing too much.
Yes.
So I just take a step back. And
when you
kinda,
say that you're doing too much, is it because you can sense that you are trying to overcompensate?
Yes, I'm trying to overcompensate because I'm either exhausted or I'm disappointed that my emotionality is not where maybe 2 takes ago it was. Or
Then you start to
I'm
feel
still
insecure
human, and I
about
start to
that.
get a little bit insecure.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm really like, this is when the humanness comes out, right? It's an imperfect thing because I'm still human and I'm still like being affected by all of this. So you have to cut yourself some slack.
It's so crazy you say that that's when the humanist comes out. I don't want to like spread any rumors, but
He's spreading rumors, guys.
Yeah, I'm
You heard it here first. Greenlit
You heard it here
Grounded.
first. No, you definitely didn't hear this first. But someone I know was talking to me about how David Fincher worked on his sets. and
the million takes.
the million
Yep.
takes, and the actors would be exhausted. And this is just working on a single page.
Yeah.
And that's when he feels or felt that the actors started to be more human because all of that stuff, all the ego,
goes away.
it just goes away. So it's
Yeah.
interesting that you say that that's when you start to feel the humanness start to really
And I'm
happen.
like, you just have to use yourself. You're here already and you know the material. So another thing I do is, okay, maybe you've exhausted every point of inspiration. What else can you look at, or what angle can you approach so that it feels new and it feels different? Do something completely different, not too different that it's gonna like mess up everybody, but it's just for me.
Not just a bold and interesting choice for the sake of bold and interesting.
But
It
it's
has
something
to
for me that I'm like, I've always gone from like this angle and this perspective. What if I noticed this before that? Just
Yeah.
like little details that might trick my brain again into being like, oh, this is new.
Like surprise yourself.
Surprise myself.
Yeah.
Because our brain is so smart.
Yeah.
It is also our worst enemy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially when it already knows everything. We are creatures of habit and comfort. So when we know the way, it wants to take that same way.
Right.
Because it rendered a good result. You have the dopamine hit, like, yes, I did it.
Yeah.
And so how do you stay fresh and how do you change it without really changing it? It's like we're constantly having to trick our brains because this is the only, like, it's the job where you already know what's going to happen before it happens, but you have to make it look like you've been here never. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
just
The first time
Like
you're
you live in
experiencing
this
this.
world,
first time
but
ever
it's the first
experiences.
time.
So how do you trick your brain into this like back and forth, and yet you still have to rely on all the work you did?
Yes.
It's truly
It's a mind fuck.
So-
mind fuck. That was
it
the word in my
really
fam.
is.
Like,
No,
it's
you
So,
can
just
say
so
it.
like,
speaking of mind
Yeah.
fucks, then this is a good transition. You've done and bringing it into genre. You've done a lot of sci-fi stuff, and you've done stuff like Star Wars, Star Trek, Avatar. You've been involved in those worlds.
Keep it going.
But then you've also done stuff where it's like a new world, like an Orphan Black, or one of my personal favorites from early days, Utopia Falls, baby, Brooklyn
Yes,
2.
yes.
I actually straight up love that song and love that
Yeah.
whole show. I loved it. I personally was
Yes.
disappointed when it didn't get a season 2.
I know.
But there's got to be a different kind of approach, specifically in mindset, because just like in horror, there's a really great fan base.
Yeah.
But for sci-fi stuff, especially when you start going to Comic-Con and whatnot,
Yeah.
there's got to be a difference between playing and being a part of a world and a character that doesn't already have an established lore versus something like a Star Wars, Star Trek, Avatar,
Oh, yeah.
where it's established. So what are the mind things that you've experienced different
I
between
mean,
those?
there's going to be a lot more research.
Okay.
And it's a lot more stylized. So I can't just show up to set and be like, oh, I'm loosey goosey. I'm going to get affected. If I don't know the tone and the world that I'm in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no matter how good of an actor I am, it's going to look out of place. So
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I'm doing my research and I know my place, my status, where I come from, where I'm going. And there is a shift physically as well. A lot of the time, if it's just like a drama or like, just like a regular day-to-day person,
Yeah.
I can use myself so much and
Right.
be like, just like kind of like my full self. But specifically for like Star Trek and Star Wars, for example, I mean, they were so different because one is a video game. So
Sure.
I also had to take in the motion capture and the physicality. There's no set or costumes or anything. I relied a lot on my creativity, but still a very known world. And not just any world, it was canon. So I know that I'm existing within a time where like it's already been established. So there's nothing new about it. I have to make sure that I'm accurate with what I'm bringing in. And then Star Trek, you are actually, well, I was in prosthetics in like a custom made outfit that instantly changed my posture and the way that
Yeah.
I walk into set. And then you're actually seeing and interacting with everything they've built. So
But you
it
won't know
affects
that
you
until you're actually in it.
until I'm actually in
Yeah.
it. Like for me, like one of the most amazing days is like if you get a chance to do camera tests, for example. Like
Yeah.
for something as big as Star Trek and it requires so much like hair, makeup, lights, set, we did camera tests before we go to picture.
Cool.
And that's the first time that I'm ever in full hair and makeup in the set with lights, and it's just the director and like the people watching it through a lens.
Yeah.
To see how it actually looks and what they need to change or if they need to change something. So that's when I actually start doing the work physically and it changes because I've never been in her shoes, literally. Like
Yeah.
I can think all I want and I have the research, but to know who she is, it's like, costume set, lights, prosthetics,
Yeah.
how it changes my body, how I walk. It was instant for me.
Love
And
that.
like I walked onto that set and everyone was just like,
Who dat?
because it's such a transformation.
Yeah.
And you do really physically transform. For me, like the first day that you wear the outfit,
Yeah.
it's like such a big moment that it does kind of influence the rest of the run, which is, it's terrifying, especially when you don't shoot everything in chronological order.
Yeah.
Because you need to then just kind of do your
That's a
homework
whole other
and be
mindfuck.
like,
Yeah.
where am I right now? Did
Yeah.
I learn this? Do I feel this way yet?
Yeah.
Where am I coming from? Where am I going? So with mocap, different. The suit is great. It's almost like an armor. So I get to do the work even in and out of the suit, but I already did motion capture before, so I could actually like kind of think about that and without being on set. I relied a lot on the writers, the storyboards, the director, because I want to make sure that I'm portraying what they're trying to get. And, that was like a 5-month audition long. Like I've been
Wow.
Whoa.
with this character for so long already, and she continues to change and change and change.
For Star Wars? Yeah.
And going to picture was, for me, it was just like, gosh, I hope that this first scene that we're shooting that is not at the start of the game actually makes sense. Because obviously she was fully there like halfway through shooting, and
Right.
this was like almost 3 years long.
Yeah.
But like now to know her really, I'm like, it took a moment because it's so much information that you're taking in, and she changes because I'm changing. So
100%.
I mean, I think you just have to trust that the team knows what they're trying to get out of you and that you already booked the part. So
Yeah.
They
you're
want
the
you there for a
person for, the
reason, and
job.
they-
So you have
Yeah.
to trust that whatever you're doing is good enough and it will only get better.
So we're going a little out of sequence here, but in that vein, what are some things that you have been able to do to help you let go of certain things, whether it's letting go of an expectation of how something was going to go, or you finished working on a project and only now you really feel like you know who this person is, or even an audition or an audition process that doesn't go the way that you want? What are some things that you work on letting go? Because that's so hard when you get precious
Yes.
with it.
Oh, that's the word precious, right?
That
We
is the
want,
word.
like it is, because it's so, like it never belongs to you. And we have this habit of yes, daydreaming, fantasizing, having milestones and these goals that we want for ourselves, but we don't know which ones they're going to be. But because we're the ones going through the process, we make each one of them ours
Yeah.
in some way or another.
Yeah.
For me, it's been a transition for sure. Like if I think of the last 10 years, initially I definitely used to drive myself batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Like I was the one who would like refresh my email every second
gosh.
or talk to my team. I'd be
Yeah.
like freaking
Yeah.
out if I didn't
Yeah.
hear.
Every actor listening
Yep.
to this just said, "Oh God,
It's
I
normal.
do that."
It's totally normal, and like you're only
We're
gonna
all in this
survive
together,
if
guys.
you surrender.
Yeah.
I remember, I trained so much, and I went to CFC, and like I was auditioning, and it was so hard for me when I was like being pinned and let go, or like they ask for availabilities and then you get let go, and
Yep.
it's like, oh, it's you too, and then they chose the other person. So I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be the almost girl. I'm gonna be the runner up. I'm gonna be the
Close but no
close but
cigar,
not,
yeah.
So
What was the phrase? It's like always a bridesmaid, never a
Yeah.
bride, or whatever.
I was like, so
Yeah.
I had a lot of self-doubt back then, and I got really antsy and really, like, I had not as much patience as I have now, and I just remember literally showing up to my agent's office crying. I'm not even lying to you. It was so dramatic. To this day, we still talk about it because, I mean, I'm going to follow what I feel, and I wanted answers. I
course.
felt like I was in the dark, and I
Yeah.
feel like we do get left in the dark a lot. We are supposed to give so much and do all this stuff, and then we hear nothing.
We get ghosted,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
We get so,
Yeah.
this is something I talk to my team about, and even if I don't hear for production, I want to hear from them. I want the feedback that's going to move me forward. And I remember my agent just being like, Humberly, you're a warrior and you're planting seeds. You can't reap what you sow, and just know that even getting an audition is already a win.
Yeah.
I had to focus on the things that I did have and have control over and let go of everything else. Easier said than done, for sure.
Yeah.
But that was the start of me really working on my mindset, which has allowed me to be where I am now, which
Great.
I'm just like, Nothing is mine. I do an audition, I let it go. I don't even think about it. There's this peace and this blind faith that something will always come, that there are conversations being had about me that I'm not privy to, but are coming my way. Like, I always believe that something is coming my way, because it is.
Yeah.
Everything is in movement, and I'm also open to it. I'm not feeding into my fear of like, what if I don't work again? What if my show got canceled? I guess I'm never being part of a show.
I guess that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. That was my best. That was the
Yeah.
top. And it's like, whether you believe in the law of attraction or not, the reality is that we're not trying to essentially do witchcraft here. I think it's, how do I have a better time pursuing my dreams? How can I give myself a peace of mind during all of this? Because we're all going to believe what we're going to believe.
Yeah.
But if you can actually train your brain to believe that good things are coming out of even the failures,
Yeah.
you are going to have such a better time in an industry where there's so much unknown. It's truly like to each their own. And if you're a bit of like a masochist and you like the pain of it all, sure. But for me, it's finding
Don't
how
at me.
I can, you know,
You know me
like
so well.
whatever you want, and then you still want to stay in it, and like it's fine.
Yeah.
So from that moment on, the whole, you know, focus on the yeses you've already gotten.
Yeah.
How you attract more is being grateful for the journey so far. Like, gratefulness is it's a magical tool, because when you start thinking of the things you do have, you remind yourself that the work that you've done has been worth it up to then.
Right.
And so I started saying like, okay, so I'm going to simply focus on the auditions that I'm getting, because that's a yes. Oh, you know how many people you beat out to get this audition? I didn't know this, right? So getting this information from my team was really helpful, because I truly was in the dark. I came into this industry with like no guidance, really.
Yeah.
Like,
Getting
no one
the
in my
audition
family,
is
like,
already huge.
Well,
it's already so huge.
It's even bigger in the self-tape era, because before, when it was like, we'll see you in person, everyone got 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe they'd work with you.
Now it's just like,
way more people are seen. So even now, if you're being seen, like that in itself is a
it's
huge win.
So I was like, okay, this is all I have, and I get a chance to show my chops, like show up, do what I need to do, and really be my full self. Obviously, you know, I come from a time where we used to audition in person all the time, and now we never do, very rarely.
Yeah.
Even Chem Read is not
Yeah,
in
or on
person.
Zoom, apparently.
It's very rare that it happens, unless they're like, they have all the money in the world and they can fly you across.
Right. Or everyone's local and it just works.
Everyone's local.
Yeah.
But it's very rare that they do that. So, you know, then came having to show up in person.
Yeah.
And I used to be a very, very nervous like actor. I used to get like a lot of anxiety and like, oh my God, I used to shake. I choked a few times.
What does choking mean
Oh,
according to
like-
Humberly standards?
The words won't come out. I remember Jason Knight offered me like a glass of water at one point because I couldn't get through the scene.
I love
and
it.
I felt so mortified. I was just so embarrassed. And I was like, oh, that's it. I'm never acting again. Like, I'm
But
blacklisted.
Jason Knight also booked you on Ginny and Georgia, right? Yeah. So this is pre-Ginny and Georgia.
Ginny and Georgia.
Okay, but like I won't be able to hear that.
Yeah.
This is
This is
pre-Ginny
huge.
and Georgia.
Yeah. Like,
Same
I
casting
was
director.
very green. Probably like a year or two in, maybe like
pre-CFC?
Pre-CFC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd
and
you go to
this
theater school?
was, National Theater School.
So you went to NTS, so this is a year or two after that, pre-CFC.
Yeah.
Great.
It was in the between of me auditioning, and I used to get so nervous because I had never worked in film and TV. I was only theater, and I kept getting this note where they were like, "Oh, she's great, but she's green." Like, the fuck does that mean? I don't like. I'm like a little seedling, and like I'm growing into my tree. I'm like trying to work with these analogies. I'm like, I don't
it's
understand.
great. I think it's great.
But I
Keep
was
going.
like, I don't know. And this was my thoughts back then. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what it is that they're trying to ask of me. And my agent was so nice. She used to actually send me some of her like bigger clients' self-tapes that we're booking.
Wow, yeah.
And she used to look at she used to be like, hey, I want you to just look at this and look at like the detail. Like they don't gloss over anything, and they're really thinking, and their eyeline and everything, and like the timing of it all, how it comes out. I think, I got really lucky with my team. They were so adamant that I was like the it girl and that I was going to really build something beautiful, and they could see it in me. But I was a bit in my way because I just didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
They really helped me get out of my own way. And casting agents like Jason Knight, when I did end up going to CFC, I brought up that incident. And I was like, so what happens when like you see actors like completely fuck up their audition?
And he's like,
they're
hey,
obviously
Humberly, what's up,
embarrassed?
girl?
He's like, I remember you.
I remember you.
I surely don't know what you're talking
I
about.
know, honestly, because you get in your head and you're like, they hate us. And him specifically was like, you know what I do? I get that actor back up as soon as I can, back on the horse. Because people have bad days and bad moments. It doesn't mean you're a bad actor.
Yeah.
It's life.
And that taught me so much too.
Yeah.
Hearing that from someone who I think is like judging me, I was able to let go of that. So now I have these little nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah.
They're not judging you. They want you to book their job. It'll make their life easier. You show up with your full self because sometimes they don't even know what they want. So you show up as you and you show them what they want. And you can't reap what you sow. An audition is a win. So focus on what you can control. I had those things, and that was like 2018.
Yeah.
That was like my 3 saving graces of like, okay, let's do it. And honestly, I kid you not, after that chat with my agent, and I started kind of like being so heartbroken over not getting something because it was never mine.
Yeah.
And what is mine will not pass me. It's that cliche. It was so true. When I let go of that fear and that anxiety, that's when I started booking.
And you're saying you were able to start letting go of that fear and anxiety because of focusing on gratitude?
Yes,
because
focusing on what I do have, which is if all I have is these 3 scenes and they're gonna see me and cast me from it if it's mine, then let me really work on this and show them something that I'm proud of rather than becoming what I think they want to cast or trying to compare myself to other actors and do what they're doing. Or I was getting too far away from the work, which was I wasn't turning to me. I was trying to book by how someone else booked or what someone else was trying to do. And you know, I was just reminded that I'm the one. I'm the magic.
Yeah.
No one else is me, so use that. Really,
You're literally 1 out of like over 8 billion at this point. You couldn't be more unique and special if you tried.
Yeah.
So why try to shut that off and change it?
totally. Like I
Yeah.
remember being afraid to like touch my face and move weird because like it has to look like proper and right. And now, if in an audition I gotta itch my nose or I have something and I forget, like I am not afraid to be like an actual full realization, like a real human on screen who moves, who has to sneeze, who coughs, who chokes, who whatever. And a lot of the time when I flub a line, but I was connected, like I'll use that take.
Yeah.
It's
more important.
I think it was about me having this like, I was focusing on being perfect, which is not even real, rather than just being organic and being in the moment and being me. And when I started doing that, it was like, oh, again, pressure's off.
Yeah.
Don't gotta like only stay here and look this way because it's my good angle. It's like,
Yeah.
it was so like, we don't know, right? It, like for me, acting was putting on masks and characters, and I trained so much that I think I needed to like let it go, loosen the grip, not throw it away, but loosen the grip on that and find what works for me.
Well, I think there's a very common theme. You know, they always say, at least I'll say from personal experience working with coaches, it's like you got to bring yourself to the project. You got to bring you, and it's that idea of trying to emulate. No, but this is the character. This is what they want. But to your point of like, you're 1 in 8 billion. Is there 8 billion people in the world?
I think now at this point.
I feel like that was a bit of a lie.
No,
that was a lie.
Look it up right now.
I feel like it's like 7.4 billion, Daniel.
I don't know, man. I think hold on.
This is very important.
The rounding up is really
Population,
dangerous.
Like, this is
of
crazy.
Earth. Yeah, I'm just spreading rumors left, right, and center.
Chat,
the
how
Earth
many-
population in 2025 is estimated to be over 8.2 billion people. Looks like it's now actually more accurate at 8.23.
Crazy.
So y'all can shut
That's
it.
a lot of
All right.
people.
Well, the point I'm making is they say bring yourself.
Yeah,
There's
eat it.
8.23
Bring your
billion
1
people in the
out of
world.
8.23 billion
Yeah.
into the work. Yeah.
But I think that speaks to that of
Yeah.
like, you know, they don't, if everyone's trying to portray the same character, there's nothing, it's going to be very generic.
Yeah.
There's nothing interesting about that. So I think bringing yourself to the character is
And
the
it's
goal.
normal to, you know, look at the actors that you love and the shows that inspire you, and you want to kind of try it and give it a shot in your own way. But it's not about repetition and recreation. It's like, how can I use this, but also use myself, and it becomes something completely different.
Yeah.
When I started trusting that, honestly, I haven't stopped working. So until you like,
We've noticed.
I don't know what
Well,
else
that's why
to
we
tell you
appreciate
that
you
I'm
being
like,
here right
there
now.
is no secret. I woke up one day and realized that I'm a human, and they just want to see me.
Yeah. I love that you're focusing on the word trusting, because when you when people, I think words get bastardized in this industry a lot, whether it's words like in the moment, present, raw, real.
Right.
And so when you think about, let me show them what they want, let me show them who I am, it starts to become a presentational version of it
Right,
rather
right.
than what you are talking about, which is I'm choosing to have faith. I am trusting that I've worked on myself and my craft, but also just as a human. And not that I'm going to present it, but I'm going to, honestly, in our last episode, we had David
Yeah.
Rial who talked about
mindset.
allowing themselves to be seen.
Yeah.
And there is I don't know if they're going to see it the way that I want them to see it, but I'm going to have faith that they will see a spark of something.
It's something, right? Whatever they're looking for, like, I can't take it personal if it's not me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to, because someone else spent their time and effort into creating this character and this world that I'm not going to try to insert myself into. It's like trying to date someone that doesn't like you.
Boom.
Yeah. Oh, drop the mic.
Why would
Yeah.
you want to do that? Because
That's
you
so
like
true.
them and then you're going to change yourself for someone.
Yeah.
You can really relate this to so much of life, but I think of relationships a lot because if that's your person, that's your person.
Right, it just
and,
works.
And it just works. And sometimes it has longevity and sometimes it doesn't. Like,
Right.
it's just all, you do have to allow someone to see you. And what does that look like? You aren't showing, but you are simply existing. And I'm not apologizing, not
Yes.
for my
Yeah.
time,
Not
not for the
retreating.
choices that I made.
Yeah.
Because no one can take away your truth. If
Yeah.
it's what I feel and am and are, then how can someone say that that's wrong or that that's not good?
Right. If it's real to you, then it's
If
real
it's
to you. There's
authentic,
no
like, if they're calling my bullshit, I'll be like, you got me.
Yeah, fair.
Totally. That
Yeah.
totally fair.
Yeah.
You're right. I was trying to do
Know
something
thyself.
that was totally away, and I know that. When I was in school, we had a mentor that would always ask us that, and we couldn't explain ourselves as to why. We just had to say yes or no. And it was like, did you do it? And it's like, well, at the beginning I felt like, no.
Just
Did
yes or
you
no.
do it?
Yeah.
And that's when you go deep within yourself. You
Yeah.
have to self-validate, and you know your truth better than anybody. And if you lie, you're not hurting anybody else. You're hurting
just
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah.
So I always ask myself, did I do it? And that's how I let go. Because if I answer yes, that's an easy let go.
Right. There's nothing
If
to
it's a
carry.
no,
Yeah.
then that's when I do the work. And I'm like, what were you trying to do that took you away from yourself after you've done the work? And there's no shaming here.
Love
but
it.
I have to be real about it.
See, I think that's so important. You don't judge yourself for it. You're
Yeah.
just like, let me just learn
Still
from this
human.
opportunity. Yeah.
I'll never just be a robot that I'm like, okay, I trained, I did it, I'm working, I'm done.
Yeah.
This is it. This is all you get. Like,
Yeah.
it's a gift to sometimes not do it. It's a gift to fail.
Yeah.
Because it allows me to look at myself and say, you thought you were smart enough. You thought you knew
Yeah.
everything, didn't you? You thought that you could just rely on this and get comfortable and get cocky. You've been humbled. So keep doing the work. And I have been humbled, by the way. Like, I've been humbled on set, and I'm so grateful for that. And I don't victimize myself. I'm so grateful for the people who've been vocal about what I need to work on or how I need to show up on set. Or there's been moments where maybe I did get too comfortable because
Yeah.
I've done it. And I'm so grateful for people who see you and actually want the best for you so that they can come to you and say, hey, this. And instead of me being like, oh, I suck. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm never
Yeah.
going to work again. I'm just like, got it. Thank you. Maybe it wasn't my intention, but it obviously like came out that way. So what can I do to show up the next day and just keep doing the work?
So where do you think that mindset shift comes from? Because, in this industry, you're very vulnerable. You're showing
Yeah.
parts of yourself. You put yourself out there, and then for someone to be like, "Hey, that was great, but it's actually this," or you're pushing too
And
much
then you make
here.
it about yourself and you think, I
Yeah,
suck.
you're like, I'm awful. I didn't
Huge.
work hard enough. I'm this. And rather than judge yourself, like you said, you got to take a second. You're still human, and you could learn and grow from it. But
Yeah.
how
or
does
you
that?
end up fighting with the director and you go like, no, I did the
Is that what you mean by getting humbled on set? Is that something that happened?
Thankfully, it wasn't that scenario specifically, but I've been privy to it. I've been there when it's happened.
Yeah.
And I see the resistance from artists when they don't know how to take in a note because their ego got in the way,
Right.
or they did the work and they got
Yeah.
disappointed and now they feel shame. And shame puts you in a place where it's like, it really...
You're very defensive.
You're
You're very
so
guarded.
defensive
Yeah.
and hardened and you're killing the work, right? So it's gonna happen, especially when you start out, like learning to take criticism is such a huge skill.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't just happen at work, it happens in your friendships and your relationships. And that says so much about your character and where your wounds lie. This is when I believe the work is like therapy. Because if I'm being triggered by something that is totally normal, like someone asking me to change something or saying this was not okay, and I get defensive and I'm blaming them when it really is about me, and someone is being aware enough and kind enough and generous enough to say something, that has to do a lot more with me and how I'm moving through life.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the environment I've purposely put myself into. To be criticized, to be judged, to be spoken about. Like, we're in the public eye and we're being seen working. That is a very unnatural thing.
Yeah.
I think naturally humans don't necessarily want to be the center of attention all the time. And sometimes you think you do until you get criticized.
Yeah.
And then you go like
Until the
this.
spotlight's on
100%.
you, and then you're like, oh, every little thing
So
is...
be careful with, like, yes, what are you really doing this for, and why is your ego in the way? So you do the work and you go back to like basics. Usually it stems from worthiness. If you actually don't believe in yourself and you don't think you're worthy of being where you are, you will always get defensive.
You mean because a lot of people will posture the
Yes.
idea of worthiness, where they
It's
go,
a
I've
mask.
put in the work,
Yeah.
I know I deserve this, but really you haven't.
Or you think you've done the work and you know it all, and
Yeah.
so there's nothing else that can happen.
You're
or that can
closed
be
off,
changed.
you're not open.
You're closed off.
Right.
You're not open. There's no channel that's
Yeah.
for a conversation or collaboration. I also feel like we talked about, how do you take criticism and how do you deal with that when you feel yourself get in that place. I remind myself that it's not necessarily that I'm being put down.
Yeah.
I'm being constructed. I'm being built up. And the only way that we do that is like brick by brick, right? And there's something that's missing that doesn't come from me. If someone else is trying to be like, you need this one, it's
Yeah.
like, I need to be okay with being helped. I need to be open to understanding that other people have tools for me.
Yeah.
And accepting help is one of those things that people think they're okay with when they're not.
Yep.
And you
Yep.
because you think you can do it all on your own, and that, if you do it on your own, you'll be deemed like better.
Yeah.
Like
But-
it's more admirable to
Yes,
have
it's
done it on my
admirable,
own.
and like,
yeah.
oh, they don't need anything.
But
Like
it's
they are-
collaborative. It has to be.
Yeah, and so I'm like, you're in an industry where it requires literally hundreds of people to
Yeah.
create one scene. So I started really I've always been very collaborative, and I appreciate everybody's job on set. The way that I take the spotlight off me is to make sure that I'm using everything that's being set up for me. One of the best accolades I got on set was from a DP that I worked with, and they were putting this light up for like half an hour, and it's a very tight angle, and the axis can be broken and all this stuff, and I just show up and I'm using all of it, right? And at the end, when we were done, they were just like, I have to say, like, it's so great that you don't just show up and you're focusing on your emotional self and your acting, which is a very big part of the work. But
Sure.
if you're ignoring everything else everybody else is doing to support you in that moment,
Yeah.
we lose the shot because you weren't facing the light, or you broke
Right.
the axis and you were looking somewhere else. You
Yeah.
decided to move away from what we practiced. And
Yeah.
there has to be an awareness that it isn't about me. It is about all of us doing it together. So I'm always making sure that I'm not slamming it down on sound so that,
Yeah.
and they're like, thank you for that. I'm like, got you. Continuity, lights, the DP, where am I looking at? Turning in a certain way that I know it's going to help camera just a little further. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a very technical job. We tend to get in our heads a lot. And I had to learn that. I had to learn to not put myself at the center of it because it's so not about me. I'm a part of the little machine. And if I can make it better for everybody because I'm helping everybody, I learned that through experience, like seeing number ones behave the way that they did, sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Right.
In my
Yeah.
opinion, that I was like, I'll never be that. I know I want to be a leader, and it trickles from the top. Or, wow, I love how generous they are, and they come to set and they know everybody's name, and they're so
Yeah.
open, and like learning what kind of artist I want to be and
Yeah.
why. Like, what is my purpose and mission stepping on a set?
And so how have you been able to balance? Because we started off this conversation by talking about receiving what the other actor is giving you,
Yeah.
even if it goes against whatever you prepped and have your idea
Yeah.
of, but then you also have a part of your consciousness that's aware of the technical elements for sound, for frame. How have you, sure, some of it is repetition and experience, 100%.
Yeah.
But have there been things that were really big jumping learning points where you were able to go, oh, I understand that balance now of the art of my emotional state and relationship, but also taking into account the technicalities?
Yeah, I mean, I remember giving an incredible performance that I was so proud of, and I was like, yes, that was it. I was humbled by it when it was like camera couldn't catch that, or it was a technical difficulty.
That's the worst.
We weren't focused, or we weren't, and so because my expectation was like, well, when I do it, we're done. I had to once again be like, this isn't about me.
It's a team,
it's a team
collaborative,
effort.
and
So I have zero expectations. Just because I did well does not mean that that's the shot they're gonna do. So again, I gotta get my ego out of the way.
Good for you.
And be like, even at your worst, you're still great. Even if it's not what you thought, it's like if they're getting their story and they say we're moving on, you gotta trust it.
For sure.
One time, I was shooting like a very important climactic point of a movie, and it was raining, and it was like weather was not on our side, and I got one take to do this, just one, and that was when I was like, okay, like you got to put everything into practice, Humberly, everything you've learned so far, that you have to trust that was good enough, that the director liked it, that camera, everything, and then you had one chance, one take, and that was all like we could get, and we did it, and we used it in the movie, and it was great, and it was awesome. But that could be so like nerve-wracking.
Well, that's the thing. So you watched it afterwards and went, okay, that worked. But when you were filming it and you're aware you only have the one take, you are like, freaking out.
You're like, oh my gosh, okay, like you know the work, you know that, like this is all you have to put it on is my scene partner.
Yeah,
it's not about me. I'm like, take this person in, tell the truth, and just feel it all. Like, just be there. This was a very like vulnerable, oh my God, it was you all along, I love you, let's be together type of moment. Which if you're human and you've experienced love or something close to it, and you get what you want finally, like that shouldn't be so hard to allow yourself to be in it. And that's all I had to do. I had to just focus on like, you're getting everything you wanted right now.
I think one of the business sides that actors specifically, but people need to realize, there's exceptions to this, but casting, like deciding the cast is usually one of the last stages in creating something, which means, sure, you might be cast in something or auditioning for something that films in a month or 2 months, but that means they've been in pre-production for
6
months,
a year.
years, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And so clearly, if you look at the casting process, which sometimes takes a couple of months or even weeks or days, versus the pre-production that they're prepping for a year or two in advance, which one is more important in that? Not that casting isn't important. Of course it's important.
It's a team effort,
it's
Daniel.
The story.
I'm getting to that. My gosh. But you were talking about how specifically in a scene like that, where it's like, I love you more than anything, you've played a lot of love interests.
I have.
And which is great, because we love you too. But you were talking about, we love
That was your
Humberly.
Seinfeld moment for me, dude.
There you go. That's my Seinfeld moment?
Yeah, for me.
Great. So you were talking before about how you've worked with actors who have their process where no matter what you do, they know what they're going to do and how it's going to look on camera. Because you've played so many love interests, sure, there's the artistic process of receiving and responding organically, but are there things when you're shooting a specific type of, love scene or a similar type of conversation that you do really well on camera, whether it's, like looking either a certain way, if I have a moment here when they say a sentence that feels like that,
I take a breath, like
that
whatever it
will
is.
read a certain way for a love scene or a love conversation?
I think it's more like, what do I do as a human when I feel that way?
Cool.
That, like, for some reason, when I cry, like, I have this perfect tear that falls down, and it's only ever from one eye.
That's
and
rude.
It's this eye.
That's rude.
That's crazy.
And it's been captured quite a few times.
Yeah.
Like the iconic breakup scene in Ginny and Georgia,
Yes.
and they caught it from
That's one of the ones I was thinking
side.
of. Yes.
And I was like, you know what? I know that looks fake, but that is just my one eye that always loves to do that. And I'm
I
like,
watched that scene
good.
and I literally, so I rewatched
The
it a couple of
perfect
times
tear.
and I went, this girl, Humberly, you better, was that crafted? Was that a tear stick? Does she know what she's doing?
No, I never use tear sticks. Never.
Okay.
I I'm a crybaby, and I didn't used to. I think with acting, I became like an open faucet.
Yeah.
And which is why you have to hydrate, because you're still human after all, and
Yeah, it's
you don't have
exhausting.
like
Fuel, baby.
like a tears come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And you need water. But yeah, I cry every time, and that scene was just actually like when they yelled cut, we bawled in each other's arms. That was a hard scene to do, and it was really heartfelt, and it was super raw, super.
Yeah.
It was. If you actually watch the scene again, I was so emotional that I messed up my words, and they kept it.
Love it.
I
That's
messed up
real.
the
That's
line.
human,
That's the
right?
point.
It was
That's
so real, and I
Yeah.
couldn't get the words out, and I was like, "Oh, Sarah," and she was just like, "Loved it," like,
Yeah.
because it is that I was stuttering, and it's like it doesn't feel like it should, or like how you would know if you knew they were the one. Like it was something like that, and it was
Yeah.
so like,
Yeah.
but it showed exactly the emotional state
Yeah.
that my character was in, that Humberly was being affected by, and so. They're like magic moments, right? But I don't know that there's things that I'm like, oh, this looks good. You know
Yeah.
what, though? When I was doing commercials, I got really good at like knowing how my emoting was really effective.
Cool.
I had a director be like, this was like SOC, like I wasn't speaking anything, but it was
Was it
all through
Tostitos?
emotion. It was not Tostitos. It was turtles, another food item. But these commercials, like that was the first time I ever saw myself. And maybe started dreaming about like, oh, I could be a lead in something, or I could
Yeah.
like, like say words on screen. Because the emoting came from a real place. And I noticed that like my smirk and the way that I sighed and how my eyebrows furrowed and I was like sad at times, like all of those moments where like looking in the mirror is different, but seeing yourself on screen and seeing that and having the director be like, you emote so well. Like we really felt all of that. And like,
Yeah.
we didn't need words, even if there were words.
Yeah.
Because there's just like a really alive, like emotional and like thought process and all of it. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
I like that. And I've seen all of those faces in many of my projects. So
Yeah.
it's just like,
Not because you were actively doing them, but
it just
trusting that
exists,
the way
trusting
you're
that I'm
feeling
like,
facing
something
that's what
and
it
just-
feels like, and that's what it
Yeah.
looks like for me. It's really easy to judge yourself on camera. I'm not one of those people that like I watch everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not me. That was a character.
character,
Also, that was
yeah.
like a year or two ago. So I have no problem in watching myself.
Wait a second. So just to clarify that, you're looking at yourself on screen, like in a project that's
Yeah.
created, and even though you are trusting that yourself will shine,
Yeah.
you are able to still separate that it is not yourself, that it's the character.
Yeah.
Talk about a mind fuck.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And you know what? I learned a lot from my peers, obviously, but shameless mention here when I
Do
was
it.
doing Nobody with Bob Odenkirk. He really expanded my mind on that because he is the kind of person that would be like, let's go to Video Village and watch what we just did.
Cool.
When before there were other sets where they were like, don't watch yourselves.
Yeah.
Actors get in their head and they're going to try to like be this or that. And I didn't always, that didn't really land on me. When Bob was like, no, we got to look at it because we got to see if we're telling the story.
Yeah.
And then he would watch himself and be like, no, I don't believe him. That was too, it wasn't hard enough.
So he
didn't
was
hit it."
talking
He
about
was talking about himself
the
as
guy
the
on
character.
screen, yeah.
But it wasn't him. And
Yeah.
I was fascinated by
That's
that.
cool as hell.
And he was like, and then when it was it, he was like, that's it. That's the guy.
That's the guy.
I feel it. I believe it.
Wow.
This is actually telling the story, not those two. And I was like,
Whoa, so you can, okay, I love this because one of the reasons we wanted to do this podcast and talk to artists like you and see how they approach it is that we are in this industry that feels like has a lot of rules. Of
it
like,
does.
here's what you have to do.
The rules are not real.
Yeah.
There's no rules.
And so everyone is going to have like a different interpretation, whether it's what
Yep.
reads good on camera, the kind of self-tape setup you need to have, like
No.
all of that stuff. And so this
And
is
none
great.
of that is real. You know, recently I saw that, you remember that audition tape that was leaked? I'm pretty sure the artist leaked it as well, but it was
Severance?
like, no, long time ago, young guy. Oh my gosh.
Oh, Dacre Montgomery for Stranger Things?
Nope.
Okay.
But love that too.
Okay.
No, the like casting agent wasn't muted.
Oh,
And then he was like, "Oh, I'm looking at a shitty
When
apartment
he shitted
and,
on
his,
it- yeah.
and his TV and whatever."
Yeah,
and he was like,
yeah.
"Oh, I'm not muted." And
he said cast me in the role
he's
and
like,
I'll be able
"Cast me
to
so that I
afford
can
something
get." And he was
better.
like, "Oh, I'm mortified," and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That example for me with the self tape thing, I'm like,
Yes.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
because
It
he is
doesn't.
the best. actor for the job.
Yeah.
As long as they can see you and hear you and see your eyeballs,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
But even on that note, like there was that Severance. It was Severance, right?
Recently with Britt Lauer.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was points, or was it? I mean, no, I'm not thinking of Severance. I'm thinking of it was a commercial that Robert was talking to us about it.
Oh.
There was a commercial self tape, and it was going in and out of. Was it a commercial? It was going in and out of focus.
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh.
Was it?
Yes, it was for. I think it was like whatever the
commercial
car
or
commercial
show?
is with.
Brie
is it
Larson,
Brie
right?
Larson?
Yeah.
With Brie Larson. I think is it Mazda? Whatever.
Brie
whatever,
Larson would not be promoting Mazda, Daniel.
Okay, I don't know.
better than
whatever car brand she's the spokesperson for. There was someone who posted their self tape auditioning for it, and then they posted the actual commercial.
Yes, and in the self tape they posted, there's points where it goes in and out of focus, and she still booked it. And it's just this. It's kind of like we were saying. If you're in a self tape and you want to touch your face, or it's you can't get too precious about it. If it's a good take, you just send it in, and you just let the chips fall where they may. I could be wrong. I'm not casting. And casting, if you're watching this, tell us if this is the case.
No, don't backpedal now.
But if we're talking about rules, I think
It's like-
at the end of the day, it's like what is going to render the thing that's going to make the story better for the story if you're on set, like what Bob did, or if it's right at the beginning, it's like, oh, you messed up a word, but were you telling the truth? Were you getting to
Was
the
it
point?
genuine?
You know, you might be in a hotel, you might be in a shitty 4x4 apartment, and you don't have a way to shoot anything else. You are the center focus of attention. Like, only this past summer did I actually get like a backdrop and diffuser lights, but I always just did it on like any wall with my iPhone. Like, I sometimes didn't, like when I did my Star Trek, so that's a whole story. My Star Trek callback was a nightmare.
Tell it.
I was like, these people are not going to cast me. I was in the middle of the forest in a cabin.
When you were
internet was, I was like in like.
This is when you were in Cape Town?
No, this was literally.
For Star Trek.
2 summers ago, I guess. Yeah, when I booked it. And oh man, I was like, these people are.
Was it a Zoom or was it self tape?
It was a Zoom, and I did self tapes for it as well. But the callbacks were in person, and like my computer was like resetting, and then we had to redo it, and then like the internet wasn't working, and then they had to be like, okay, well, we're running out of time, so like, can we come back to you in half hour? And I was like, oh my.
You're like, yes, please just come back to me.
I literally had to be like, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm running across the hallway to the other side of the room where I was like, maybe there's better internet here. They're seeing the entire house. At this point, I'm giving them a tour. Like, I was just like,
by the way, this is a great cabin if you guys looking to rent one.
By the way, like, this is really beautiful.
5 stars,
we like
Airbnb,
your bookshelf. Like, it was just like, if I got in my head about that, and they were probably chuckling and being like, what is going on? But I was the girl for the job, so they just wanted to see me and work with me. But we got in our heads about what we think has to look properly, and like we don't know. That might actually break the boredom or the like
the monotony of
like
same,
seeing the same thing over and over, and they're like, oh my gosh, someone who doesn't take themselves so seriously, or like who doesn't have the same thing, but like fuck, they're great.
Yeah,
I do want to go back quickly on the Ginny and Georgia scene. After you said you bawled your eyes out, and the podcast we're talking about process and craft, but I also want to talk about the after. Like you prepare, you do it afterwards. You have that emotional release.
Yeah.
What do you do to, all right, guys, we're moving on to the next set. Like, how do you not bring that physical exhaustion and if that's the start of the day and you still got 10 hours to go and they're like, all right, now we're flipping to the scene where you're happy.
9 a.m., get your heart broken, and then let's work 12 hours.
That happens a lot because we never shoot in order.
Never. So what do you do to allow yourself to get to a place where you're
snacks.
even? Like,
you
Don't
can
plug
like
any, we're not
play
sponsored
music,
yet,
you dance, you go talk, you get on
Mockingbird,
the phone.
Eminem.
And usually
you
like
gotta
there's
stop.
Mockingbird by Eminem. I think you just reset in the way that you want to. I've heard, you usually change clothes. And so that in itself is like a
physical change.
A physical change.
Okay.
Sometimes lunch is in between, so that's kind of great.
Sure.
I hate when you're doing the same scene and you have to go to lunch and come back to that scene.
Yeah.
That's worse, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the after and resetting and moving on to something new is a lot easier than having to like leave and come back to a scene after you've eaten like
Yeah.
a
You're like
whole plate of
lethargic.
food.
You're a little bloated.
Yeah, and you like, oh man, you get so sleepy and all this. Like, it's like you have to know yourself really well.
But then in a situation like that, if you're, if you're feeling sleepy, you're feeling a little bloated, do you bring that part of your authentic self?
You're like, now I'm sleepy in
do
this.
you know what I mean?
Or do you, I gotta wake,
Sometimes
I guess it depends on the job.
on the scene.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, for, it depends. Like, I have so many stories that just came to the surface.
We have so much time.
I've had so much happen, and
Pick one.
and they're all like learning lessons. Like
Yeah.
when I was in Serbia filming Tarot,
Yes.
I had like a nightmare shoot day, and it was an overnight. And because I was in pain, I had a period, and my cramps are horrible. Like
Yeah.
to the point where the producer was like, "What can we
Do we need to do
Yeah.
something?
Because
Yeah.
in between takes, I was literally bawling my eyes out, like just so uncomfortable. And this is the start of the movie where they're all laughing and telling jokes, and they're by the campfire.
So tonally very appropriate.
Totally different. And
Yeah.
I'm like, they're gonna know. They're gonna see that I'm literally dying on the
Yeah.
inside. You couldn't see it. I'm sure
Yeah.
you watched it. I'm like,
Yeah.
you couldn't notice.
Not at all.
So that was a big lesson for me, where I was like, I was dreading watching the start of the movie, because I was like, I know
off the
that
get-go,
day.
yeah.
Am I about to
was-
sell it?
It was
Like,
a
yeah.
nightmare. Like I honestly, like I couldn't even hang out with anybody. I was
Yeah.
in a room just like bawling my eyes out, trying to like release some of the pain so
Yeah.
that I didn't have to do that on screen, and
Sure.
be smiling and sitting there, and I'm like tight jeans, all this stuff, like hard.
Oof.
Hard when it's something you can't change.
Yeah.
As women have to work through a lot,
Yeah.
especially when you're on your
100%.
cycle. Like that's something that I've had to do that a few times on set, and it's like, now that I know that it's okay and like you can't really see it, I just trust that fake it till you make it is
Yeah.
a real thing, and like whatever I'm
Yeah.
putting on, because I don't really feel it, is good enough, and the work just has to live in that. But man, that was hard. I was
Yeah.
like, literally, they would yell cut, and I would just like crumble into my thing, and people would be like, "Humberly, what do you need? What can we give you? Like, here's a hot water bottle. Here's like all the stuff."
Which
And
like
I'm
good
just
for them for like recognizing and
Yeah.
acknowledging. 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like
What
some
are you
actors
gonna
are too
do?
afraid to admit that they're not okay.
Yeah, no,
So good for them.
Well, that's a different story too. I was really sick on the last 5 days of shooting a movie, and I didn't tell anybody, because I had to pretend I wasn't okay, because I know that the second they found out I was sick, the movie wouldn't be able to get
Continue.
made,
Yeah.
because it's like one of those MOWs that like you don't have time.
You don't have
You
time.
don't have the
It's like
resources
just
to
quick
do
They
it.
gotta
get
go.
it done.
And I was
2
the
weeks.
lead. So that was like a fake it till you make it.
For sure.
And I watched the movie, and it looked fine.
Great.
I think I can tell in moments,
Right.
because it was like a whole week.
But that's one of
where I
those things
was
that you,
super
when you
sick.
look in the mirror, you see things that no one else would see. So it's got to be something
Exactly.
like that.
But I want to unpack that a little bit. I know
Yeah.
we are running out of time. We should wrap
Yeah.
up soon. But it's just interesting to me, because it's like you bring an authentic version of yourself and what you're going through, but then sometimes you do fake it till you make it.
You have to.
So
yeah.
what does that line look like without it feel? Fake till you make it. You don't want to put on necessarily.
It's still grounded, and the work is good, but there is a very real truth inside of you, which is, I don't feel good,
Yeah.
or I can't do this today. You could be grieving, you could be sick, you could be going through a breakup, you could be going through so much that is real human things.
Yeah.
There are certain things you have to leave at the door. It's hard to do when it's a job that requires you to bring your full self.
Yeah.
And that is why we got paid the big bucks.
Yes.
At what cost is this job paying us? Like,
We're such nerds
yeah.
at the
it's
same
true
time.
though.
Yeah,
Like,
money.
they're like, oh, actors get paid and all this stuff. And it's like, what are you doing?
gimme, gimme,
You're not showing up and reciting memorized lines.
No,
I'm sorry. Like,
you're-
it costs me a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that cost are very beautiful lessons that I'm so grateful for. But sometimes that cost is emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a career that takes you away from your loved ones a lot.
This is a perfect transition.
Yeah.
Because now we're going to get a little personal as we
Yeah.
start to wrap this up. One of my favorite things that I've ever seen you post, I don't know if I ever commented on it, but it's always stuck with me years later.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't even know what he's about to ask.
Okay.
Oh, yes, you do. You posted, I don't even know if it's still on your Instagram, but you posted yourself doing a cover of the song Breathe from In the Heights.
I do.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if you talked about it in that video or it was in the caption of how much that show, that role, that song means to you because of how much you have had to give up and go through. And I'd love to know if that's not just still like obviously you still carry that with you, but how do you reflect on that years later with the experiences that you've got?
Always worth it. I still think to this day, everything that I've had to sacrifice for what I do is worth it, because more now than ever, my mission has gotten so clear about what is my purpose in this industry. And that is to showcase authentically who I am, not just as a human that deserves respect, love, inclusion, but also my roots, being Latina, being an immigrant. If I am portraying non-harmful stereotypes on screen, I know that makes the world a better place.
Totally.
Latinos aren't just drug traffickers and escorts and the help. We belong in every space, just like everyone person does.
Else, yeah.
But for me, you know, I haven't had my family here for years. My parents have lived across the country in the Middle East for the past 10. It's just me in Canada. I fly a lot. I move around a lot. I'm missing people. I worry that I'm a flaky friend, that I can't show up for the important things. I know what the sacrifice is, so I've had to really balance, how can I still be there for the people I love even when I'm away? I'm so used to being in the spotlight that sometimes I don't know how to switch it to the other people, and it's not for a lack of love or care. I think that's just my MO and my go-to. So I'm really getting so many lessons from being in this job, but also not making it my everything. It is not my identity. And so the moments in between working, and especially the moment I am right now where I purposely took 3 months off to travel to see my family, maybe banking that my show was going to get picked up, and then it didn't. Another humbling moment of like, I don't know what I don't know, and now I don't have a job. And you still go back to the drawing board. And yes, there are things that are offers and guarantee, but I'm also building towards different things. And so I bet on myself and I don't settle. That requires a lot of patience still. I'm still practicing everything I learned even 5-10 years ago. The surrendering, the letting go. Because my mission is not just about me being seen and being famous or getting followers or whatever it is that some other people might go into the industry for. For me, what gives me strength is my faith, trusting that is so beyond me, and the fact that I'm also a symbolism for someone else to see me and say that's possible. I didn't see a lot of people like me growing up in the industry, especially in Canada. When I started auditioning in person, like I didn't see other Latinas. I didn't see anybody else like me. And I thought, am I just not going to book anything? Or could I be the person to book it?
Trailblazer. The one that.
Being a trailblazer requires a lot of work
Sacrifice,
and a lot of sacrifice. And I've not only opened doors for other people, but for myself when maybe there were no doors to be opened. And I sometimes felt that solitude. I got in my head of, you know, I don't think I can do this. I had a lot of forks in the road that I could have given up. I could have, and that would have been so easy, but I didn't. And I'm so grateful to that past Humberly that wherever she got that strength from, she just was so adamant that it really isn't about this one job or this one scenario. It's so much bigger because it's a marathon, not a race. And I always tell myself that. It requires so much patience.
Listen up, people. Marathon, not a race.
We want it so bad that we want it now, and that's totally human. But you also have to respect, if I can quote freaking The Substance, you gotta respect the balance. We don't know what we're being protected from. And the projects that are going to be for us because of who we are at the center of it. A project for me isn't just doing it. I love being on set, but what I love more is talking about it and the reception of it. And what comes from it, because then I can kind of take stock and say, okay, is this really adding to my mission? Where do I want to go to next? What am I saying yes to? Which is why I always talk about no's being so powerful. When you get to a place and the privilege and luxury of saying no. In my career, I've gotten to a place where I don't have to say yes to everything. Still nerve-wracking, still thinking, am I shooting myself in the foot? Should I have not said yes to that? But time and time again, when you do it with intuition and you trust yourself and you have a team that backs you up, those no's have been the greatest yeses. They've led to the greatest yeses. So there's, I don't know, maybe the sacrifice is, it's such an interesting word because you're not really like giving up anything. You are really putting your dreams like right in front of you and holding them and saying yes to them in a way that nobody else can do that for you. But how can I still share everything that I've experienced and bring it back to my community, bring it back to my family, my relationships, and to self? So I'm fine. That's where I'm at now.
Great.
I've focused on career so much that I think I've maybe ignored or been complacent with other parts of my life that require a bit more attention. And now I understand how important that is to make sure I'm not ignoring parts of myself or self-betraying, because it'll come up in the work.
Well, I was going to say, right? It's bringing your authentic self to the work. You need to have that life experience. You need to water every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
To draw from.
I think the plant analogy is like really good.
No, I think it's
Can't
great.
reap what
Yeah.
you sow. You're green. You're
Yeah.
watering.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
because a lot of people, what they do is
fertilizing,
they will plant a seed, and when
Yeah.
they start to see it sprout, they will then start pulling on it to
Yeah,
like
you
make it
gotta
go
just
you're alive.
faster.
You're,
Yeah.
As
You're-
opposed
if
to-
you're not ready,
yeah.
I'm sorry, but you're going to lose sleep and
You need to go through your seasons.
you need to go through
That's
it.
beautiful.
And sometimes it might take years.
That was beautiful. Well, what she said was much more beautiful. That whole long.
You know,
I was getting
you're like,
affected,
this
and I was
is-
just like,
No,
God
no, I
damn.
thought-
I do.
thought it
I
was
do.
beautiful
I
too.
do think of
But-
ourselves as
yeah.
seasons. I mean,
Yeah.
I love the fall.
Yes.
It's very symbolic to what I guess I'm going through in my career right now. There is no fall. There is just a shedding of things
Yeah.
that I know there's going to be renewal because it always comes. Always. The
Yeah.
tree is not dead.
Yeah.
It may not have leaves, but you know it's going to bloom at some point.
Yep.
And sometimes you go into hibernation to go back in and be like,
Reset. Take that time.
do the work. And when
Yeah.
people say do the work, it's not often attached to acting.
Yeah.
It's actually everything but that.
Yeah.
Up here.
100%.
And so, could I be right now like, oh my gosh, I'm unemployed. I don't know. Like, of course I want things. I'm about to like work on this audition. I'm
Yep.
like, of course I want that. I like, this could be me, but there's no attachment to it. I just want to go into it with like, use everything I've learned, have fun, do it, let it go.
Let go.
Right.
Yeah.
And just take care of yourself.
I love
So
that.
we are out of time. We got to wrap this
Okay,
up.
bye.
So no, wait. We have one more question. Something that we're really interested in knowing from all of our guests is what is moving you artistically right now, whether it's a particular show or movie
Or
or song or
Stop
anything.
Oh my God.
whatever it is, or it could be there's a particular painting or something that you are consuming artistically that is moving you as an artist right now.
So interesting because until you said artistically and then you based it on like content that's being made, my mind went somewhere else.
Go where you
before
want to go.
that.
Yeah, go where
Only
you want to go.
because what I just came back from, I was in Washington.
Okay.
I received a really beautiful award called the Horizon Award.
Okay.
By the National Foundation of the Hispanic Foundation for the Arts.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I butchered that name. National Foundation. No. Hispanic.
I can just Google them.
National
Or you
Hispanic
can just show us the award and read it off of
National
it.
Hispanic Foundation for the Arts. There we go.
There we go.
They're
That's
incredible.
And they've been around for 29 years. Next year's is the 30th anniversary. And
Huge.
I was in a room where there were so many influential humans, not just artists, but in Congress, in the media,
Wow.
CNN, CBS, people who worked in tech.
So a small room.
AI. I was
Yeah.
there, so we did a summit and a panel, and then the next day we were invited to the residence of the Spanish ambassador in the
Damn.
U.S.
Wow.
I was in a space where I was so emotional because I thought, wow, everything that I've been through and every experience, everything that I've been exposed to and every choice, every failure, everything
Yeah.
led me to this exact moment to be honored for my portrayal of authentic like Latino roles on TV and the expansion of this and what it means. I was really inspired because again, I think the work will be one thing. We never know the projects that are coming, and I do want to create. So I've been inspired to really look at where I come from and the
Yeah.
stories I want to be a part of, and maybe there's room for me to start making my own thing. We talked a lot about how do we portray authentic stories when they're not being written, when people like us are not writers
yeah.
or behind the lens or directors or. So to tell things authentically, we have to insert ourselves. And that, I might think like, I'm not a writer. I've never written anything. I don't know. I'm a curious person. I write poetry and I know when something is great and I know the stories I've lived with and grew up with.
Yeah.
So, but being in that space and understanding the importance of accurate portrayal of a
Yes.
certain group of people, especially with everything that's happening politically with Latinos in North America.
Yeah, man.
It has just really sparked this new fire
Great.
of not just creating, if that's taking a backseat, if I can't, or maybe I will, but also bringing people along We asked, what is something that we can do? It's like, this isn't a you versus them. And this isn't like, well, I worked for everything I have, so you figure it out on your own.
It's a collective.
You gotta bring people with you.
Rising tides lifts all ships, man.
That's what he always
You just
says.
gotta like lift people up, empower them. If there's a young actor that you meet and they're like, oh, I've been considering, I am so quick to be like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, let me give you whatever I know so that I can bring you with me, because if there's more of us, there's more community, there's more just
For everyone listening, I am not Latino, but what Humberly is talking about, she actually did for me. We were talking. She was one of the first people that I met here in Toronto when I moved here. And I think, I don't think Utopia Falls had come out yet, but it had been like announced. You guys had finished. And she invited me over. We made croissants with scrambled egg. And it was like avocado mayo or whatever it was.
I love
and
breakfast.
she sat me down.
Me too.
And she let
All
me
right, so
just...
we'll do breakfast. You owe me one now.
Yeah.
You
But
owe
my
me
point
one.
is, it's not just words, it's action, and you
Exactly.
follow
That's
through.
beautiful. That's really
like,
beautiful.
I do care about people, and I think I've also had success in this industry, in this field, because I've always extended myself and been generous. I don't want to do this alone, and I am really quick to share my secrets or do things like this. I'm like, there's nothing to hide, because it's also not mine. It's not ours. There is something beyond us, and you know that being artists, we have a say in how the world perceives the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, especially
I
now.
love that. We have a say in how the world sees the world.
That's incredible.
God, put that on a mug and a T-shirt, and that's
Yeah.
so crazy. That's beautiful.
It's
Humberly.
what I've been feeling lately, and so when you turn to stories, I'm inspired to see stories that do that. Recently, I watched I'm Still Here. It premiered at TIFF.
Yeah.
It's a Portuguese film.
Yeah.
I was bawling my eyes out. Stories that don't even feel like they're acting. It just feels like a
Just
camera
a
was
fly on
just
the wall.
put
Just happened to
in
be
the living
witnessing.
room, and you see a family.
Yeah.
I'm really drawn to tell stories about families, and I also want to be at the center of more love. I want more light that, isn't inflammatory to these things, and it's, but I'm also drawn to, like, from like just like an actor perspective, I want to transform my body in some way. It would
Yeah.
be really cool to like train for an action film.
Yeah.
Or just play a really badass person who has a chip on their shoulder and they've been through so much and they have fought to be where they are.
Yeah.
This like fighter energy is coming out in me that I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to play something hard.
Yeah.
Well, that life experience. You're
Yeah.
you're a trailblazer.
And I'm
That
like,
is you.
and if she happens to be Latina, great. But
Yeah.
I don't want to be cast just because I'm Latina. I am a human first.
Yep.
Yes.
We are all humans first. Who we are, the color of our skin, these imaginary lines on the earth are not gonna. I don't know who made this up.
Yeah.
Who started this? And why is it happening? This division is
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But
But we have a
this is-
choice whether we feed into it or not.
Exactly.
Yep.
I think this is the time to fight for it even more.
Yeah,
If you are
totally.
someone who believes every person deserves
Opportunity
livelihood,
and
opportunity, love, respect, freedom, it's a great time to be an artist, because art has existed through the worst of times.
Through it all.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, that camera right there, plug whatever you got to plug on. Really, this is your
What
moment.
am I plugging? Hey, check out my next film, Match. It's coming out on Tubi very, very soon. Stay tuned on my socials at Humberly if you don't follow me on Instagram. But it's also a horror movie, and it's about love in a way. It's kind of a twisted fable, Beauty and the Beast style. But if not, just go on my MTV and check out all of the beautiful things that I've gotten to be a part of. There's a little bit for everyone.
Yeah. Humberly, thank you so much
you.
for
We
the
really
time.
appreciate
We got to end that there, but we look forward to having you on again, because we literally have another whole document of
Yeah.
other stuff we
What
didn't
happened,
ask
you
you.
guys? You didn't do your job. I'm doing mine.
You know,
you
just-
did.
If you need me to shut
better
up,
than we
you're just
thought.
like-
Better than we thought. Our
Sorry,
questions.
you have 30 seconds to answer this, and then if
Rapid
you give me
fire,
a
go.
timer,
No,
if you give me a timer.
no,
I'll do
because
it.
we want to be able to unpack this stuff, and
Yeah.
you so graciously gave yourself and your heart to us. So thank you
Yeah.
for that.
It means a lot.
Yeah,
and
this
now
was
we
great.
gotta.
I forgot that there were cameras for a second.
So we're doing our
In
job.
the
What are you
moment.
talking
Yeah,
about?
Yeah. Speaking of cameras, we gotta go film an audition now. So
Yeah.
Oh
peace
yeah,
out, guys.
I know. Let's go book it.
All right,
Let's
there
go
we
book it.
Cheers.